Test, test. Hey, you know what? We're going to start that over. I'll just cut this out in post. Okay, you guys should be able to hear me now. Okay, let's start this again. I got a really exciting layout review video for you guys today. Obviously, the NXL Mid-Atlantic Major is just around the corner. If you guys are watching this live, please be sure to hit the like button. It'll help spread and propagate this video on YouTube. And if you guys are watching this as a upload after the fact, nobody ever comments on these videos as soon as they're uploaded because people just like watch it and tune out, and that's totally fine. But if instead this time you could just type in big brain paintball, that'd be the only thing I'd ask for in the comments section. It helps that video out a lot, so please be sure to do that. But I want to say at the top of this, a huge thanks to Dan Holiday from Tampa Bay Damage, who is going to make the latter half of this stream just incredible. He has provided me with a file that's going to allow us to walk the layout from an actual player's perspective and shoot paint and check bounce shots and all of those sorts of things. So we're going to start off with grip paintball, guns up first, because obviously we can have a top-down perspective of how things are looking. And then once we've walked the layout from that perspective, we will go into the grip paintball portion of it, where we will then be able to check, like I said, bounce shots, different angles, where paint's landing, and so on and so forth. So I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be amazing. Again, if you guys are watching this live, please be sure to hit the like button. It does help the stream out a lot. And if you guys are watching this after the fact, as always, be sure to subscribe, comment, all those sorts of things. Again, last thing, I will not be at NXL Philly. I was going to be there to coach Carolina Clutch. They ended up finding another coach, which is going to work out much better for them in all likelihood. And things are just going to be way too costly for me to go out there for me to do anything related to the Go Sports broadcast, which was a thing that Darren and I had talked about even well before this event was just around the corner. So you guys will see me on the Go Sports broadcast in Chicago and a World Cup doing telestrations. So I'm so excited for that. And also, big shout out to Paintball Ruined My Life for like mentioning the channel. So I'm always curious to see what people have to say about the channel, just given their perspective. And one thing that makes that also challenging is because I can't curate what you guys see as much on my channel anymore, because YouTube only likes to show, you know, the most popular or most recent uploads. So a lot of the videos that I have that are in between those two categories are just not really visible. So anyway, that's all to say that I'm excited for you guys to be here. Welcome, everybody. I know there's a ton of people in here that are super excited to watch this layout, so let's get started. First things first, as you guys always know, if you've been around in the channel for long enough, we draw the zones. One of the videos that I'm working on right now for Go Sports is the semi-pro finals between Blast Camp and Paintball Fit. And one thing that I attribute to Paintball Fit's just super stellar control of a match and just their overall IQ is actually directly related to these zones. So I'm not sure that's exactly how I would draw them, but I think that makes the most sense. It looks like the center zone, which is often Texas or Utah, is the largest compared to others. So these zones, again, I get asked this question a lot. These zones are drawn so that we can identify where people are likely going to be off the break. Okay. Just in a standard breakout, right? It isn't to say that we can always get wide on a layout, but we can usually understand where people are going to be in a pretty average distribution in a breakout. So that's why we draw these. If you want to know what the names are, or what a lot of teams will call these, oh, excuse me, this is not Arizona. That is Iowa. Iowa, Nevada, like I said, Texas or Utah, I think it changes. And then this is Oklahoma, Arizona. If you want to just use the California way of doing things, this is Dragon and this is Charger. There's a lot of leniency for where these zones can change. And that's just based on you playing the layout. If you find that it makes more sense to pull in the zones or expand the zones, that's fine. And lastly, the purpose of the zones, aside from just identifying where somebody's going to be in a breakout, is that when you eliminate somebody from that zone, or rather that there's nobody in that zone, then you shout the name, right? So if I were to say Arizona, Arizona, that would mean that in a breakout situation, or it could be at any point in the match, but that just means that if I shout Arizona to my teammate, then that means that they're nowhere to be found in this spot. It isn't to say that, and you can't call it in between stuff. So for example, if there was nobody, let's just draw, I'm just going to draw these zones like super crude. If there was nobody in the Oklahoma zone, but there was somebody in Arizona, I cannot call Oklahoma. It goes from the outside inward. And it's because it's supposed to help a front player or even a number 2 player know where the next target is to start shooting at and to apply pressure. So it just allows for a lot like faster processing of what's going on the field. So I feel like I don't say that enough. A lot of people ask me, how do you use the zones, or they're using it inappropriately or incorrectly, I should say. So that's the purpose of that. Let's get on to the back line. We'll walk the back line here really quick. We'll get more of a perspective of this when we actually walk it from Grip Paintball's perspective. But as always, we like to look at the gaps as we run out to either side of the field. We'll start with the snake. Huge gap here to start from the home, shooting out anybody going wide. And then as we get out further, an even wider gap going out to this corner. Now, the first thing that I always like to know is that there's a lot of space here. So there's a lot of room to like change the route that you go, even though this is all one gap essentially. So the difference between me running here and sliding versus me running here and diving is very different from a back player's perspective or from anybody trying to shoot that person. So just know that even though it's wide open right here, you have lots of room to dodge that paint. Going over here to the left side now, we're going to take a look at this over the top shot. Interestingly enough, if I get low, I actually have plenty of coverage to blind out the home. And then the biggest gap that's a threat is this right here. And again, this is another one of those situations where the difference between taking this inside route versus running baseline is very different. The difference between them shooting paint at up close versus farther away is very different. It's a meaningful difference. So there's those two routes right off the bat that we can take. Obviously, we can just go straight into the Dorito that's right in front of you on your screen. We keep going out to the corner. There is a bit of a gap here. It's pretty small. Again, your mileage is going to vary based on your field and based on the tournament. So this gap does exist, however. Just be aware of that. Coming out even farther, there's I don't know if there's any gap that they could play where they could stand out and shoot you in on the snake side, but there is a shot possibly cross field. This is a decent containment if you had a game plan designed to contain somebody on the snake side, excuse me. But not a great thing to do when you get out wide to shoot cross field. Otherwise, you have a pretty standard heads up. It looks like a bit blinded, except that it's only, actually, if you get low enough, you probably can avoid the paint that's coming back at you depending on how tall your opponent is and how low you go. So you probably can't avoid the heads up fight, but you do have this Dorito hold that's going to stop you from getting up the field. So interestingly enough, it almost seems like number 2s and 1s were kind of be playing this positioning a lot. Because the ones are going to probably be able to get out of this corner unless the number 2 holds them in that shot, which again, we'll take a look at more in... I broke his sound. We'll take a look at this more when we look at Grip Paintball. So again, if we get low, we beat the guy that's in the Dorito stopping us. We get up here. We now have potentially somebody heads up or a corner guy. We'll call it the corner, the tall Aztec there. That's probably the only guy that we have to worry about, assuming that obviously they don't get wider than this, right? Assuming they don't take the route off the break to get all the way into that Dorito. So let me pause here for a second because I'm getting into the Dorito side. Let's actually do things a little bit differently this time. Let's take a look at the middle first. Then we will look at the Dorito. Then we will look at the snake. I feel like I always do the middle last and I don't give it enough attention. So let's do the middle first. First things first, huge gap to shoot that first Dorito guy. Again, we looked at that from the runner's perspective. That gap is pretty solid. So as long as your first ball is on point, you definitely can hit that shot. My biggest recommendation to everybody, regardless of the division you're in, always practice these shots, okay? If you didn't play any points, which wouldn't be good, but if you didn't have the opportunity to play any points and all you did was practice shots off the break, even if you're a front player, like that would do a lot for you in an event. So again, depending on the division you're in, you would definitely need to play points. But if you're in Division 4, even Division 3, you probably don't need to play that many points. You could probably just do these reps, either shooting shots off the break or doing different routes to get up the field and know where the shots are as soon as you get to your bunker. That would do a lot for you. So interesting inside route you can take. So again, you're controlling all of what's in front of you here, more so than them. I would imagine that if they decided to run and gun, that becomes a 50-50 easily. in this zone right here. You obviously can dominate anybody going out wider than that, up this gut here. You could even blind out the snake side. If you look to the right of the big brick as I run this route, if you look to the right of that brick, if you actually step out a little bit more to the Dorito side, you can blind that out at a certain point, right? So if you just kind of follow this channel that you see right here, you can actually pretty quickly blind out the snake guy. But that would be a concern, is for them to, as they run out to that can, shoot for you. So otherwise, decent-ish move up here. As soon as you get here, however, you're kind of blinded from what's going on in that corner. So it actually might make more sense, depending on what the game plan was, again, for you to stop here in this gap, shoot for this and this. If you eliminate the widest guy running out to the Aztec, assuming that's where they're going, then you're actually in a really, really good spot to contain all of the Dorito side by just holding this dude. So they would have to dig you out either through a run through up the middle or doing something on the snake side to shoot you in the back. But pretty interesting up the center route. If we decide to pull short on the Dorito side, we can actually come here and fight, depending on the angle we take, obviously. We can fight the guy at the home heads up. We can obviously shoot anything over the top of this lay down juice box. And again, you have like some kind of off angles, you could call it, where you have some opportunity. If you're confident playing heads up and dodging paint, you can do a lot in this space to control what's going on the Dorito side. Let's look at the center tower. So I don't know. You could go here and dive. Obviously, you'd expose yourself, like the home player, if they're looking Dorito away, to absolutely know that's what you did. And you don't have anybody, you don't have any visibility of what's anything wider than this like Dorito zone, which is unfortunate. But again, you can control this Dorito guy fairly decently. I would actually argue that they're probably in a better spot than you are, just because they have a surprising inside angle they could take. And they could even come punch up and match you, and you wouldn't know that. So interesting. Okay, you have definitely great visibility on the home player, but this is not a great spot to be in. You're really vulnerable to whatever's going on in the snake, and you might be able to set up a trap. It would be really hard to survive the snake is the problem, okay? Obviously, it might be difficult to get into the snake, and we'll find that out. But if they get even to this wing, this mini W, you're in trouble. You could probably get low enough to avoid it, maybe. And obviously, you have a huge gap that you could bait somebody through. I just don't really think anybody's going to commit to this move without checking off the middle. So this seems to be kind of a leapfrog bunker. You can certainly wrap on it really hard, depending on what's going on the Dorito side. Interestingly enough, if the home player is the only one that's wide on the Dorito side, so you've essentially killed two people on the Dorito side, you can actually back up here, blind out the home completely, shoot whatever's going on the snake, run all the way up here. Again, still blinding out that home guy, doing some damage there. Just a different route to take a look at things. And then let's look at the snake side here really quick. Huge, huge gap. So running out here in this channel, again, not suggesting that this would be what I would actually do, but you do have, that's pretty open. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I would do this. I would probably just use the Aztec as cover and then maybe consider doing an inside route. But what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the cans and the pin to my left that is blocking the home's view from me while I'm focusing on what's in front. So if, for example, there's a guy that's running really fast with his gun down trying to get to the snake, and the only person I have to worry about is my guy heads up, then this essentially becomes backline versus backline heads up fight. And if you have experience dodging paint at those distances, it's really not that hard. So there's some opportunity here to kind of be in the open if you can control the guy in front of you or dodge paint. I don't know if I would risk that. You'd have to be pretty confident in your skills. So, but again, you have some like kind of interesting blinds from the home. Again, getting up to the can, I would not do this. Personally, I think this can's probably garbage. Yeah, I guess if you Tiger 2, so what's interesting is if you Tiger 2 and you're in this position, you can completely surprise the home, all the way up even into this, like to this, their can on the snake side. So that's, that's always the thing that I'm curious about, is especially as like a number 2. So if, for example, your 1 got somewhere in this zone and you as the number 2 got somewhere in this zone and you Tigered 2 on this side, you could definitely take this inside route and just lock down that side of the field. As soon as you get to perhaps this bunker, you could wrap and see what's going on in the Dorito side. But this is all to say that if you Tiger 2 on this field, on the snake side, and even on the Doritos, it's very easy to shut down. There's some layouts where it's much harder because there's some small gaps you have to be shooting paint through, but this does not seem to be the case. So let's look at the center 50 from looking at the snake side, because we did look... Yeah, we did look on the Dorito side. So center 50 snake side, if you get tall, you can definitely stop somebody going from that little cake. Oops. From somebody getting into the little cake going around. I'm not sure. You probably could see them. You could definitely see them going on the inside route, actually, for sure. You do have a bit of an angle on somebody in that juice box there. But it would be only on the inside. And then, yeah, obviously, if they took an outside route, you could definitely chop them up for sure. If they decided to run on the outside. Moving up. Yeah, if they tried to do anything getting into that 50 brick, again, on the outside of the field, or even if they tried to, for example, even if they tried to cut across right here, I'm sure you could chop them up as well. So either one of these angles, you're going to, actually any of the angles getting to the 50 on the snake side, you'd probably do well to destroy. I'm not sure if you would be able to see anybody who does this. Yeah, if you step off of it, you might. Yeah, if you step off of it, you could probably shoot a pack, depending on how tall you are and how small they are. So, I mean, the 50 seems to be okay. So here's the thing about a lot of center 50 bunkers when it comes to fighting the snake, is your best chance of killing somebody in that situation is the element of surprise. Otherwise, if you wanted to play the bunker as like, I want to play this bunker to like lock down something, then it usually has to be that they have to be, at least in this case, they can't be anything wider than this. They can't be in anywhere in the snake. If they stop short in the corner and maybe even this Aztec, you could probably play this spot as a locked zone, like as a way to lock the zone. The issue is going to be that you have to step off the bunker just to see that snake gap. And if for whatever reason they're in the cake, that makes your position really vulnerable. So I don't really think that I would go to the 50 to like do anything on the snake side, unless there was like a kill that I could, you know, because even if you kill the widest guy, right? If you kill the widest person that was anywhere over here, and you have somebody still remaining in these two spots, you're not in like a super great spot to stop them. You can certainly take a step back, do anything on the inside of the field, but if you're trying to do zone control paintball, this is a teeny gap to shoot through. You'd have to dump all your paint in this spot, and it just doesn't feel like that's a really great thing, because now you can't even wrap and threaten them on the outside of their bunkers. They have clear, you know, free reign to do anything within this window. So don't love that. If you obviously Tiger 2 people, then you can punch up the middle and lock down the home wide. So nobody can get past this spot unless they kill you on the Dorito side or they run you down on the Dorito side. So that's strong, but otherwise the 50 just seems to be something that's obscuring our vision. I think if you're in the center 50, ignore the snake and shut down Dorito side. Yeah, I completely agree. That's kind of the only tricky part about this is that you have the only containment that you really have is if you step off here. So if you step off, you can see the corner, which again, exposing your back to the snake. You can see the corner and anything they try to do, but obviously the more you step off, the more you expose yourself to this guy. Obviously, if you kill the widest guy, like we said, you can control the Dorito really well. Tigering 2 people, again, pretty free space to shut down to the Dorito side. But if there's 2 bodies alive on the Dorito side and they take a pretty, they're in either this bunker or this bunker as the 2, like you're kind of in a weird spot because you do have this gap to hold, and this is going to be a gap that people will try to bait people going through. It's just I feel like all that's going to happen is people are going to pause a lot more running past this gap right here until they know where the home player is, if he's up the center or if he's still back center or so on and so forth. So you might just end up wasting your time without really any way to impact the game if you do that, but easier said than done, right? We all know this. So we looked at the middle. Now let's look at the Dorito side. So Dorito side, obviously an inside contested shot from the home. You could run and gun out to this position. It's a lot safer for them to shoot you than it is for you to shoot them. So we'll take a look at those shots as we walk it on grit. You do have a crossfield inside shot, so that's actually really strong. It might be that we can find some angles where we actually push out the center player, or maybe create a game plan and where we do like a 2-step if A then B system where our home player actually kicks out here, and if we can keep them out of the snake, then we can get this home player to essentially dump all of his paint in this gap. So to kind of visualize what I'm talking about, we might be able to create a scenario in which we send somebody let's say we risk a body here. I'm just making this up, right? Send a body here, and then our number 3 does kind of a leapfrog tactic out here, and then he holds this cross gap, because that's a really solid gap. It's a tough gap still to shoot through because they could just go around it, very likely, but you'd at least have something, right? Not sure that that's a play that would work, but it is something that exists. So yeah, it's a big turtle strat for sure. I don't know if that's what the emoji's for, but thank you, Jay. Interesting inside shot from the heads up Dorito to Dorito battle. You have to be tall to see it. Obviously, expose yourself to the home, but you do have something that you can inside shoot on the outside to maintain control. Let's see. That's fair. Going up the middle, you'll end up forcing people to bunker you, or you have to go forward into their side of the towers, but that's sketchy. Totally, yeah. I mean, certainly there's nothing wrong with applying a massive amount of pressure on a team by being in the middle. It's just that your influence is literally just your presence as opposed to like gaps that you can hold. Outside battle here, pretty standard. Again, you can see from this perspective, you have the inside and outside shots, right? Outside, then inside, and you can do that vice versa. Obviously exposing yourself to the home, like we said. And like we also said, you have this big gap to contain anything that tries to go wider than the tower. So this appears to be a really solid like support role position, or number 2, as people say. And so it's a small gap. To be fair, like that's a small gap. The other thing to be aware of, and we'll see again in Grip Paintball, that I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's an over-the-top blind shot that they can shoot at you to get you to flinch and then go underneath your paint. So, big ball paintball. Oh, Turtle is our team name. Just ignore him. Okay, there you go. All right, so interesting. Lots of really cool stuff you can do in that Dorito. Let's go out to the tower again. We did look at this already, but you do have some crossfield shots onto the snake, but more than likely it means that you're going to be getting pressure from that side of the snake. So if you play this corner, you got to play on the outside of this bunker into that side so you don't take any stray shots to the pack. I would probably not look on the inside of this bunker unless you did it early in the match, because if you do this in like the mid to late game and there's some development that's going on the snake side, I feel like you're just going to get blasted in the face. There's just no way for you to be able to scan this part of the field and just be like, I know where the head is, or I know where the paint's going to come from, right? So I would just probably stay on the outside as much as possible. That looks like the snake can control a lot of the Dorito movement if you're still found in the back line, which is interesting. So again, big gap here. You can control anybody trying to get out from that baby Dorito out wide. Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Just trying to get any. There we go. Again, this inside shot we already looked at. Crossfield stuff. Snake can definitely chop you up if they're pushed up the field. If they're still kind of in the back, don't have to worry about them so much. So the way that I would view this as a Dorito player is I would make sure that I knew what the call was that would trigger a warning in my brain. So if it was like, let's say, for example, we're going to call this, let's just call this the God, this juice box, and then this is Snake 1 and this is Snake 2. If I heard Snake 2 or Snake 3, it would have to be the thing that I'm listening for as a Dorito player to know that I have to be very careful about moving through that gap. That if I do, I have to be very quick, and I also have to probably check it off from the inside, right? So if I, for example, looked on the inside of here, I didn't see paint already coming, I could probably dive and commit to this move and maybe be safe, but you just have to be very careful if you hear Snake 2 or Snake 3 in that example. Okay, we go further then down the Doritos. Again, another snake side gap you could hold. I probably wouldn't do this unless you just need to be productive because you're stuck for whatever reason. But I would imagine that you're almost entirely going to be focused on this heads up battle if somebody matches you. If you beat somebody here, I would not look on the inside. If you're matched with somebody, you need to be playing heads up to stop them from just leapfrogging or essentially wrapping and going all the way down the field. So I probably wouldn't bother with this inside shot. You do have one of the things that we look at here on this channel, and anybody who walks the layout productively does, you should always know what the first shot you should be shooting is when you get to a bunker, and it's usually the first free shot that you get. So I wouldn't consider this a free shot. It's just that the home player will not have any idea that you are here if you make this move quickly and nobody saw you. So if you get to this Dorito, you stand up tall, even on the inside of the field, you can blast this guy if he's not paying attention. Who's going to see you on the snake? Literally nobody. The only person that obviously is going to chop you up is that guy in the center 50 if he is there. So just again, this is the gap we talked about, right? This gap here, this is a big gap that if you get to the middle, you can stop somebody in. And so maybe we'll see that develop. Maybe we'll see that play develop over the course of the tournament, where we punch up the middle, control the Dorito, ignore the snake, and then the snake has to do something to kill the middle guy. So assuming that there's nobody there, then you can get here. Again, same sort of angle that you have on the home. I would probably do that inside shot first, and then I'd come here and look and wrap and see what's going on. You do have a juice box player that could also stop you at this point, but I'm not sure how likely that bunker is going to be played. It is a decent hold bunker, though. So one thing to consider is when you want to hold a gap, what is the riskiness to get to that bunker versus the reward you get from getting there? So for example, it is very easy for me to get to this bunker and then get here and control this gap, right? Very, very easy for me to do that. There's no risk involved almost at all. This is a really good hold bunker. It's also a really good bunker to hold even a secondary. Like that would be a primary hold right here, and this would be a secondary hold. Okay, so you have a lot of hold options here as a number 2 or even a 3. I would probably consider this to be like, if I were to do like a pretty standard setup, I'd probably do this in response to something that's going on in the Doritos, and then I have 2 options to hold really solid gaps against the Dorito player. So, and the reason I say that is because if they pull short, I don't have to worry about them going through this gap until they make this move, and I already have a guy who's going to stop that. Right? We'll look at that more when we look at Grit Paintball. I'm trying to go quickly because we have a lot to cover, but I guess to just give you an over-top perspective of what I'm talking about, I don't have to be in this spot to hold this gap right here that we just looked at, because if in a standard breakout they go here and here, then I already have the player that I need to stop this person. So if, for example, they get past this zone and I shout as the number 1 or the 2, baby Dorito, baby Dorito, baby Dorito's going to go, or whatever. I would just call it baby, right? Baby's going to go. Then that would tell my number 3 to kick up here, and then he would take this job over, which would then free up my number 2 to move up here and possibly up here or whatever. But I'm still able to control the field by doing an if A then B play. If you haven't watched the video yet, if A then B, what is if A then B paintball? Please watch that video. I'm surprised that there are not more people who've watched that video. It's my most recent one. I think you guys will really like it, but I'm just explaining what's already in that video. So, all right, then let's keep going. So we get up to this Dorito now. First free kill from here is definitely the can. I would say that the can is almost for sure dead. He would have to play on the outside of his bunker and essentially behind his gun to survive this. So pretty sure that's a kill. Also, the Aztec that's in front of it is definitely a free kill. So you have at least 2 free kills here as soon as you make this next bump, which is going to be, you could call that the Dorito 3, maybe. It doesn't really matter. You guys have your own calls, but I would probably call this Dorito 1, baby Dorito 2, and then Dorito 3. Just an option. So, but yeah, that's a really free kill. You do have to worry about the snake at this point for sure. This guy would definitely chop you up. So be sure to check off the Doritos, or excuse me, check off where the snake is looking before you take those free kills, because if he's in that snake 1 even, that's a free kill on his part. So ignoring that guy, then you do have a standing tall challenge to anybody who's in that corner Aztec bunker, the corner tower, and possibly the baby. The thing about this angle, if you guys know, is like this angle from this Dorito to that little baby Dorito is like so janky that you can't ignore it if there's somebody there. So you really have to just kind of blast that bunker if you're in this position. Otherwise, if you do get low, if you come low and on the outside, you can't ignore those guys, assuming you have some kind of a containment established. And at this point now, you're fighting somebody who, if they are in this Dorito or in this this wedge, is that a wedge? Yeah, that wedge, that's another thing to worry about. So if you wrap, same angle that you already had on the inside of the field on that Aztec player, and then if you move further along, this is a really awkward angle for you. Awkward for both you and the snake, to be fair. Snake guy's got a better advantage than you because now you're completely exposed. So if you make this move and there's somebody in that snake, we'll call it 3. Yeah, we'll call that the snake 3. It's this one I'm talking about right here. If they're in that bunker, you have to hit your shot. If you don't, you die because you got nowhere to go, right? You can't really get on the outside of this bunker without whatever's in front of you being dead already. So if they are dead, however, you can't ignore this. If you Tiger 2 on the Dorito side and the widest person is the home, then boom, you're solid. That home guy is absolutely toast. No way he can stop you, or no way he will survive that if you surprise him or challenge him strong. So again, same shot that you had on the Aztec, but now you do have a corner kill that you didn't have before that's past that bunker. Don't really think anybody's going to be playing that corner much unless you get him to stay there because you're just applying so much pressure. And again, if you wrap even further, now you're starting to shoot the snake guys. This guy's probably getting shot in the pack, the feet, the legs, lower back, stuff like that. But there is a shot there. And then if you come out here farther, sorry, the thing just kind of skips around. If you come out here farther, now you're shooting people in the side of the head, stuff like that, the shoulders, from this perspective over to the snake. So let's look at the wedges really quick, and then we'll take a look at the snake. So getting into this wedge, really strong angles on the snake side of whatever's going on. So inside shots really strong, both inside and outside shots on that snake side. Can is really strong. Inside shots on the snake side Aztec is okay. This is a decent spot to contain somebody in that snake side can. It's just the challenge again is always that if you are on the wide side of a field, on a particular side of the field, and you look cross, now you're giving up all the pressure that you could be applying on that side. So not sure it makes sense to do this. Actually, we might be able to come up with a play where we send somebody here. Oh, you cannot see that. We might be able to come up with a game plan where you have kind of this setup going, where this guy holds this containment and then this person holds this containment. That's actually not bad. It's pretty decent, I would say. That's actually a really decent hold. I would imagine, at least at first glance, again, we'll get a better idea when we try to get into the snake. I would imagine the snake is going to be really hard to get to. So it might be that we find ourselves doing a lot of this stuff. A lot of this like 3-man team in the corner of the field holding. The biggest issue with this is that if they get anywhere past this can off the break, then you have one person who's like freely pushing down without any sort of real containment on them. So interesting. Let's take a look now. Heads up. Nothing heads up. You do have a gap you could hold, as is always the case with these wedges. Inside shot, or if you're trying to wrap and go, rather, you do have to fight the Dorito guy. And possibly the home. In fact, I would think the home would be another threat. So if you do shoot at this guy and you don't take the bite right away, you do have to worry about, like, if you shoot this guy and then you're kind of waiting and then you make this move, you would have to worry about the home shooting you if they are still there. Because if I'm the Dorito guy who's getting put in by the wedge, I would say, excuse me, the wedge is going to go. My home guy would look that way, start blasting this gap. So obviously, whatever call you have for that. Coming in here, you do have a bit of a float. So you can float off in this little zone right here because you're completely blinded from the Doritos. And you do obviously have some shots over towards the snake side corner. You do have some gaps you could shoot. This would be even close enough that you could probably respond. If you're really accurate, you could probably respond to somebody running, trying to get into that snake. But you do have some shots here. You also do have some shots if they try to shoot at you on the guy that's at that God bunker, we'll call it. I actually don't know. There's a lot of weird calls that it's going to be hard to know what to call, certain bunkers on this layout. So, inside shots, you don't have any free kills here. Definitely, I wouldn't consider the corner a free kill here. The angle's not really there. You do, however, have another gap you could hold that would really suck for that guy. So if I'm the snake can guy and I'm the widest dude, let's say it's a 5-on-4 situation and I am in that can that we're looking at on your screen right here. This would really suck. Hey, Osborne, for this. Thank you so much. This would really, really suck. So I could even back off and I could shoot this. I could shoot this gap, and then if I see him going through, I could come back and I could shoot this gap right here or this landing zone. There's a lot of options here for just taking a step off that bunker. So if you play the number 2 or even the number 1 on this side, definitely try those back off shots and see. I can tell right away though, the biggest thing that's going to suck is a bounce shot that comes off of this pin that could dig you out. So we'll take a look at where that could come from when we look at grit here in a minute. I always say this about these bunkers. This angle sucks to challenge from because it's really hard to turn your gun that direction and also your head. It just kind of throws your balance off. So these angles are really hard to challenge from and oftentimes lead to your death. So even though this baby Dorito is really small, I actually think they have a better angle against you than you do against them, even though it's only slightly different. But that is a thing. So otherwise, you have a really super close access point to this bunker. So the biggest concern here is that if you take this inside route, you're already in this Dorito 3, right? That is a really, really small gap to have to get through. So who can stop that? The home can stop that. The juice box in the middle can stop that. The snake can stop that. The god could stop that. I wouldn't do that, but the god could stop that. Obviously, if anybody's playing this like Center Aztec that's right here on your screen could stop that, but I just don't think they're gonna do that. You'd know about that if they were to make that move. So yeah, getting here. Yeah, that's such a small gap. Wow, that's a really, really small gap. That almost means that it feels like you have to put somebody here. You could put somebody at the home just dumping all their paint there. It's just that's a far enough gap or far enough distance from them to you that if you even challenge them a little bit and they flinch, that's enough of a difference for you to go. But if you're closer, if you're here, even if you flinch, you could get paint back on target and you'd be close enough to shoot them to trying to get through this. So, and this is an awkward angle for them, right? Almost as equally awkward for the juice box player as it is for you, but this is a bit stronger of a challenge than this is, because they'll probably see, for a lot of players in lower divisions, if you're trying to challenge from this angle, you're going to expose your head, you might expose an elbow, that sort of thing. So if you're playing the defensive hold here from this juice box's perspective, this is a pretty decent place to be to stop that move. Then obviously getting to their side, it's kind of the same angles that we already looked at, right? Okay. Whew. Making good time. Yo, 44 of you guys are watching this live. Only 10 likes in this live stream. Please hit the like button. It helps the stream out a lot. I know you guys want to keep this. You want to clutch your pearls. Make sure nobody else gets this intel, but it does help me out a lot. It allows me to keep doing these types of videos. So, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Snake side. Then we'll go grit. Then we'll go to grit. So, snake side can. Heads up battle on the outside. Interesting inside shots. So, there is a blind shot you could shoot over the top of this, but more importantly, you can actually ignore the heads up battle and get up to this Aztec and then hold a very similar angle. So, interesting. What's the productivity on this bunker? I mean, you have some gaps here. You can hold this if you needed to. Interesting. What's the Aztec look like cross? Again, I would never shoot these gaps, by the way. I mean, I'm not the best player, but I don't think there's a lot of productivity in doing this. But it's just interesting that there's like bunkers back to back. What is nice though is that this is a pretty solid route to getting into the snake, right? So if you can get out to the can, if you can survive this gap right here from the home and get to the can, now you have a pretty solid inside route up to the Aztec, and then possibly just diving right into the snake, or even pausing for a second and challenging the guy that's trying to do the same. So that's a pretty solid route. I mean, there's obviously so many different routes you could take. Interesting. You could also do this. I'm just exploring here. You could even do this if you wanted, which is a meaningful difference than somebody shooting at the baseline. So if they were shooting at you here, they wouldn't be shooting you at the baseline, and so on and so forth. Thank you for doing this. Shout out to Jay. Boring. Thank you, Corey, for the $2. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. So yeah, that's a meaningful difference between those two gaps. So you could also just go straight into it. That's also an option. So let's take a look now.
Corey Pa super chatted $1.99. Thank you for doing this. Shout out to Jay. Boing.
Oh, it's boing. I thought it said boring. I was like, you complimented on me doing this, but now you're saying it's boring? Come on. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that to me, that's a pretty solid route into the snake. I would imagine a pretty standard route into the snake. Obviously, if you decide to go the wide route, you can get into this corner, and then I mean, yeah, who's gonna stop you? If you made it to the corner, nobody's gonna stop you getting up to this juice box. Going down further now, Pretty decent wraps, actually. Pretty decent wraps. The only guy that you really could threaten, if at all, is the tower. I don't think you're going to kill that guy at all. But there is a shot there. If nobody has gone... Actually, nobody can stop you from getting up here. It'd have to be the baby Dorito. That baby Dorito could shoot you, for sure, in this spot. So that's interesting. Otherwise, so it looks like if you can survive getting into the corner, you're all the way into this Snake Mini W unless the Dorito stops you. No, not at all, buddy. Jay boing to the center 50. Boinging. Chris, I'll wait to the... I'm always ahead of these super chats, so I'll wait for a second until it makes noise, but... corner guy can stop you if he gets to the corner. If you guys match each other and he shoots cross, he can
super
stop
chatted $4.99. Had to one-up Corey and show my dominance with the voice guy.
Thank you, Chris, for the $5. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. You have definitely inserted your dominance. Not asserted, inserted. It's a very meaningful difference. All right. Getting into the Snake 1. Again, I'm not sure that there's much productivity here. You obviously have some inside shots that I don't really know if I would take, but you can shoot people. This is what I will say, however. If that number 3 at the home always moves secondarily into this juice box, this is a really good stopgap, right? So if we know that the home likes to bounce out of the back center up to this spot, this is if you get to the snake off the break quickly, you can stop here and shoot paint in this zone, and you will stop the home from doing that. So that's a really good hold to start, or at least to, do if you need, if you know they're going to make that move. But otherwise, you don't really have great shots on anything. You obviously do have some shots on anybody trying to go on the outside of the tower. That's kind of, again, a more utility kind of role where you get to the snake and you're just shooting a zone. The problem with that is that if you don't push up the snake and they do, they're probably going to win that point. So might make more sense to actually just push. If you go low, who can stop you? Who can stop you getting up into here? Nobody. Nobody can stop you. There might be a bounce shot we'll take a look at. There might be a bounce shot right here that could stop you, but so far there's just not a lot. So, Chris, you cannot insert your dominance. Okay, another gap, huge gap now that we're dealing with on the Dorito side that you can stop. If you pluck one out on the Dorito side and their widest guy is somewhere in that Aztec, it's a really, really good spot. Really good spot to shoot that crossfield gap. And then you have a lot of freedom to come up over the top that you can actually blind out the entire snake side, as you can see. I can block out everything that's going on in the snake and then pressure anything in the back line here. So I can pressure the Dorito guy a little bit. I can pressure the home, the snake side Aztec, and the snake side can. So these 4 positions. Really interesting surprise over the top shot. And then heads up, obviously, this little mini gap. This is going to be a game about losing your opponent, right? And obviously whoever's wider than the other on the snake side. Because if for example, if I'm here in this bunker and the person that I'm fighting against is here, I actually am inadvertently applying a ton of pressure on them. Because if they're in that mini wedge that's in front of us and I get here, I can actually shoot them for free in the back and they wouldn't know. Like as long as the home guy's not looking my way or the Aztec isn't shooting at me, I can just come here, step out, boom, boom, boom in the pack, and then come back, and I'm solid. So interesting that there's a lot of like risk versus reward kind of stuff. Biggest risk in getting out to this spot. Here, let me just draw it because I'm saying this a lot and I'm not really illustrating. So this is an easy spot to get to. This mini wedge that's on the inside route. This wedge is not hard to get to, except that this obviously is a gap you have to cross. The baby Dorito can see you pretty well trying to do that. But I'm not sure that there's much else that anybody can see. I mean, I guess if the corner was shooting at you, but I don't think that, they can't even see you. So getting out here is not hard. You actually can't see each other. Heads up if you don't step out wide. So that's interesting. No gaps to worry about here, it looks like. Again, the biggest thing is just going to be bounce shots, right? There's just bounce shot city, it looks like. Possibly something coming in here that might come your way. Getting out to this corner or this wide spot in the snake. You have a corner guy you have to worry about. Obviously, the wedge that's straight in front, or the mini W that's straight in front of us. You do have a home player to worry about. An Aztec player, like I said, that you have to worry about. If they're in the can, you don't have to worry about them. But as we saw, if they are still in the can, they have this easy inside route to take where they can just get up to the spot, and then in response to you being in the snake uncontested, they could get there and surprise you. So your first kill might be the Dorito corner, that tall tower that's on the leftish side of your screen. That might be your first kill. Obviously, if they're in this juice box, that would be another one, but that could be one that's easily traded if he's staring at you, so be careful. And if you stand up, you might be able to kill the Dorito guy. That would be kind of hard. Home guy's not a free kill. You'll likely surprise them, because especially if you get low right here, like this will be a surprise shot on the home guy. So you definitely have the home and the Dorito corner, but nothing super free just yet. If you look on the inside of the field over the top, you actually have really great angles on a lot of stuff. So if you're here, can threaten the Dorito guy. You won't kill him. You'll threaten the tower guy for sure. Threaten this guy, but no free kills. It looks like just, yeah, what is that? It's the can. Okay. Obviously, you have the 50 or 40 wedge that you could challenge and shoot at each other. So that exists. If you get to this 50, interesting. Again, the baby Dorito is an option. That same wedge is an option. But I imagine you're going here to get to their side, which now that baby Dorito's dead for sure. The corner guy's in a lot of trouble. Dorito guy's in more trouble. But nothing free on that inside route. But if you do this inside route to get to here, which is going to be hard to see. And the thing that's tough about the snake is that the gaps are so small, that it almost requires you to be just constantly shooting paint at it, either from this position or from this position, right? Even though you can't see him exactly, if you're just dumping all your paint in those spots, it's going to be really scary for that snake player to go through those. And who knows, you might always, you may get a bounce shot on him or something. So yeah, first free kill for here. Definitely the wedge, definitely the baby Dorito. Home guy on the inside would probably die. It's kind of the same angle though, so maybe not. And then obviously when you're on the other side, it's game over. So there is that. Let's take a look at the grit paintball field. So this is new this is new for everybody who's watched my live stream. I've never done this before. Hopefully we can do it more in the future. But this is going to be awesome. So let's take a look. Mostly concerned about bounce shots to start, and obviously just how things are looking. So my character model is set at 6 feet. Mostly because even for those short guys like me, I'm 5'8". I can oftentimes see over the top of an Aztec if I'm on my tiptoes. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. But like, you can definitely shoot this shot. Any bounce shots I see so far, I'm going to be taking a look at those right now. So you obviously have off the break, you have this bounce shot, or not bounce shot, you just have this lane you can shoot. But obviously you got to worry about the over the tops. Anytime you hear a ding, that's me shooting a target set up in a spot where there's likely going to be a player there. So thank you again, Dan Holiday from Tampa Bay Damage, for supplying this for me. So thank you. So again, looking at those same gaps that we looked at before, you also have this gap here. Again, I can't really get quite over the top like I normally would, but you have that gap, this inside gap. You have this gap here. Anybody trying to get wider than the baby? So that gap is a little bit wider here, it looks like. And then obviously you have a gap that you can shoot from anybody trying to get past that wide Dorito bunker. Lots of stuff you can shoot on the Dorito side of the field for this. Obviously, huge gap here. Nothing else you can really shoot at the snake. So that must mean that, yeah, interesting. If the best gap that you have to shoot, and again, this is not 1-for-1. Okay, I'm already seeing this right now. It's not 1-for-1. Layout is a little different than what we saw in Guns Up, but it looks to be that the crossfield shot and this little lay down juice box is probably better for shooting the snake runner than anything else. Is that true? Let's take a look. You see how like everything's a little bit different? Okay, so that is different. Okay, I should be able to see the snake from the home. Okay, so good to know. Obviously the first time I'm using this sort of system, so we're going to be learning here. Let's take a look at the can. Where's that can going? Okay. Can is doing a lot to shoot at this guy here. I have 100% bounce rate on the paint that I'm shooting. So lots of threatening stuff going on in this guy here. If I shoot at the pin, anything here. More sort of stuff. Interesting. Okay. Maybe actually I might have to do I might have to do this angle. Let's find out. Oh, there it is. I mean, again, the layout's not exactly 1-to-1, so it might be more like this is the angle. Right? Because I'm getting... this bunker would actually be out wider, it looks like. What? This is amazing. Let's go a bit out of the loop. What's this update? This is Grip Paintball. It's just an app you can get on Steam, and then the layout is supplied by Dan Holiday from Tampa Bay Damage. So it does... I mean, what I will say is it looks like you could scare somebody if you decided to do this. You might find that this shot exists on the actual layout, but at least in terms of the app, it's not super great. Inside shot here. Curious where this goes. Interesting. So this inside shot threatens like the can. Yeah, did you hear that? So this... Oh, that was the home player. So I actually shot the home player off that bounce. So interesting. You do have a bounce shot. I imagine vice versa, right? If the home player is wanting to threaten you and they want to ignore you, they could probably... I would have to do it over the top, but obviously my... See, there we go. Maybe. I don't know. Not super great, but I'm sure there's something there. Definitely take a look. Check it out. Good afternoon. Please tell me where I can download this simulator. It costs money, but it is on the Steam store. It's called Grit Paintball. So definitely take a look at that. You won't have the layout like this. That requires a lot of tools. So none that I created myself, but you could definitely replicate the layout, right? You could just recreate it yourself in the actual app. But so yeah, definitely check it out. Let's take a look now at the snake stuff. So if I'm in the snake again, yeah, it's hard because these aren't exactly the same, right? Like if I'm looking at this from, yeah, that's not the same at all. Like you see how different that is. And it's not because the layout isn't laid correctly according to the grid system. It just looks like the grid system is condensed. Because these are placed in the right spot. Like I can see that they're all placed in the right spot. It's just the dimensions and the proportions are all different. So I'm not actually sure how much productivity there is going to be here because like you can see already, this gap is huge, right? Let's see if we can find anything else that would be of value here. And then, wow. Is that a shot? Is that a thing? Yeah. Wow. Look at that. So if we look at the pin, here real quick. Oh, interesting. It's shooting like the Dorito. Okay, so maybe there's nothing there, but certainly worth a shot, worth a try. Let's see if there's anything from the home end of the snake that would be productive to look at. Let's take a look. Yeah, we just don't have any visibility. We don't have really any... They're all just bouncing up. Yeah, I wish. Can't see a lot there. What about here? I don't know. There's like no in between. Let's go a little higher. I know it's like not actually accurate. There's no in between right now. So if I crouch to a certain point, it's gonna shift me way down. See what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that the actual layout, if you're in this juice box and you want to threaten somebody here, I would imagine you could absolutely shoot that guy. So definitely be aware of that. Let's see. What about... Is that doing anything productive? Not really. Not really. Let's look at the outside. Yeah, I know I can lean. Let's see. Just trying to see the angles that actually match up well. Oops. Let's maybe some snake stuff. Take a look at those. Yeah, I mean, maybe if I shot there, I think if I hit there low, I might be able to shoot something. Again, it's the same kind of angle. I'd imagine there, like I already looked at that one. I imagine that there's something there, maybe. Maybe. Take a look at that if you're on the Dorito one, for sure. If you're in the corner, same sort of deal. You might be able to shoot. I mean, you can also just shoot the gap for sure. If you get low here, you obviously have the snake guy to worry about, but what does that do? Same sort of deal. I would give that a shot at the actual layout. I would definitely try to shoot that as the baby Dorito, see if you hit anybody in the 50. Again, the angles are not quite the same. Let's take a look at what it looks like here. So, yeah, I would actually think that's, I think that's actually a decent bounce shot. I would take a look at that as the baby Dorito. If you hear somebody getting the 50 snake, definitely shoot at the front side of that mini W. I think that shot is for sure there. Anything else then? Let's look. It's hard to simulate bounces on these angles. You might find something here, maybe. Not quite sure. You might find some kind of angle that bounces off the baby into this this Dorito. Not quite sure. But if you're wider than them, and you... Well, maybe it's the inside. I mean, the app is going to be a little different than what it is at the layout. I don't know. That's kind of tough. Let's see what that looks like. No, that's too far. Too far. So, what if you were to do... Not a lot of more bounce shots here. Sorry, I'm not reading chat. I'm focused on this. Let's see. If you hear the ding, it's a kill. You can lean two. I wish the hits would get highlighted. Trail like lingers a moment longer. I agree. It is not a multiplayer game at all. There's a trail you can walk down. Where does guns up use for height for player? Tap control to crouch level. Yeah. I'm not sure what guns up. My guns up, I think, is set to... I think it just depends. So it tells me, I'm pretty sure. So it says I'm 5'8" right now. I do think their height is a little off. So if, for example, like this is saying I'm 5'6". I'm 5'6". There's no way I see over this if I'm 5'6". So the dimensions are all kind of different, right? It's mostly that I think the dimensions of the bunkers are probably fine in this. It's just that the layout itself doesn't seem like the grid itself. The boxes, these boxes right here are not big enough. It seems to space the field out, I think is what's happening. So let's look at the snake stuff again for whatever that's worth. Oh, that's actually supposed to be a mini W, but that's okay. This kind of works the same functionally. Jump over. Oh, interesting. Okay. So if there, for whatever reason, if there's a wedge guy looking in the inside, at least according to this, I could possibly... Yeah, there's just nothing. No in between. I actually might be able to threaten him with this inside bounce shot. Interesting. What about here? Who am I absolutely torching? I'm not sure I would trust that one. That's pretty... Well, maybe. Actually, there's your bounce. Is it that? Let's take a look. Is that a thing? I don't think I can see that unless I back way off. I'm not sure. That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy bounce shot if that's the case. To shoot that and have it... Yeah, there's just no way. That paint would not get that far. But that's an... I mean, you might actually be able to shoot the baby. I will say you might be able to shoot the baby. So let's take a look at that again really quick. Maybe that's all I was hitting. I think that's all I was hitting. Yeah, that's all. Okay. I was like, dude, there's no shot. Where does that go? Let's take a look. I actually think you would stop the baby from moving. Unironically, I think you would. That's actually a really decent bounce shot. So yeah, if you blast that zone as the front snake guy, I think you'll actually stop the baby from moving. Is that productive? You'd have to back off. You'd have to back way off. So maybe that doesn't make sense. You could do it from here, actually. Maybe. Yeah, you might be able to do it from there. Let's take a look one more time and then we'll move on. Oh yeah, I think this is way safer. For sure. Yeah, I mean, you could obviously just shoot the gap, but if you wanted to like directly threaten the baby guy, I think that's definitely there. This is called Grit Paintball. Grit Paintball. What we've discovered, however, is that the dimensions of the bunkers versus the grid system, excuse me, that's being used does not seem to be quite proportionate. So be aware of that. It also could just be that, oh, what just happened? Oh, cool. I can switch. It also might just be the case that, that all that's happened is that the actual program that we use to lay down the field isn't laid down correctly. That's also a possibility. I'm looking at it right now, and actually I think the snake just needs to be shifted over, and then this would be fixed. So I think in the future, when I create the layouts or whatever, I think we can use this a lot more effectively to find those bounce shots. So, yeah, because like the snake side is like just not even doable. I wonder if I can change that really quick. Let's find out. So let's take a look. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move this. Oop, hello. You guys are not gonna be able to see this for a second. We're gonna move this off screen. I'm gonna come back here, field editor, and let's see. Do we just need to? Yeah, actually, I think that's all we need to do. Look at that. Not quite exact. These are too big. This just won't go away. Okay, so now we've got this here. We've got this here. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll definitely be better. You've got these that are I mean, it's supposed to be here, but given the dimensions, actually, I think this is actually supposed to be out wider. That would probably fix it. Maybe? Yeah, see the grid is kind of janky. So let's just try to set it up as best we can and we'll go from there. Oh, actually, there you go. There it is. There it is. We fixed it. We fixed the snake. We can find the snake shots. Oh, this one needs to get kicked out. Oh, whoops. What? Trying to move the targets. These are just kind of all over. Look at that. In real time. Maybe this is all correct. This actually does look like it's all correct now. Look at that. Okay, we're back. Oh. I'm sorry, what? How do we fix that? Let me just redo the snake beams. There we go. Not sure what that was. Look at that. Okay, we're back in business, I think. Maybe we can now get the bounce shots correctly. Yes! Okay. Oh, okay. I really wish I didn't spend so much time on this beforehand because now this is better. So, it's not perfect, but it is definitely closer to what the final product will be. So, obviously, don't mean for that shot to just be like right there. I could definitely remove those, but I'm mostly curious. There's definitely a shot there. Let's get rid of this one and let's get rid of this one. And let's move this closer to here. Just out of curiosity. Save, overwrite, back, play. Okay, now let's take a look. Sorry, thank you guys for being patient. I apologize. This is first time we're using this sort of system. So Swap mini W on snake side. I think the field's correct now. That's got to be close, man. I think you could. I definitely think you could bounce somebody there or shoot somebody there. So that shot's there for sure. Obviously, you have to worry about the guy just being there, period. And then let's take a look at another one real quick. If he's in the 50, if I shoot the... What was that? Was that? It was. So, yeah, here you go. Off here. Definitely shoot that if you want to threaten somebody. Man, this is sweet. Want to stop the snake guy from moving if I shoot over that and just shoot here. Yeah, I think you should do that. I think you definitely can do that to threaten them. Obviously you could just shoot the gap, I think, but they could go underneath it. So let's take a look here at this shot. Too high. I don't think there's anything there. What about if I shoot? Sorry, I'm diving deep now. We're in deep. Let's see. Watching while I wait for Diablo. Nice. Dude, I haven't gotten it yet. I don't know if I will. I really like Diablo, but I'm enthralled in something else. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Nothing probably productive here on the inside, except that maybe can we kill the crawler? Oh, actually, yeah. That's actually solid. So if I'm at the home and I can't see the Aztec, I can just shoot this bunker. Assuming the angle's there. Let's take a look. Where is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Right here. I'm pretty sure I can shoot that inside shot. And I can definitely threaten somebody trying to dive into the snake. For sure. I mean, obviously I could just shoot this gap as well. I'm not sure which is more productive. But this is definitely a solid bounce shot, I would say. That looks really solid. Diablo 2. God, I'm so stoked about this. Okay, the crouch is just like super toxic. I don't know why I can't like... Yeah, that snake, that baby Dorito is definitely a threat right here for sure. Yeah, oh yeah. Sorry guys, I can't. There's no in between. For sure. Okay. I could do this for a long time. And obviously I'm sure there's other people who are like, do this bounce shot, do this bounce shot. So if you have bounce shots you want me to do, type it in the chat and let me know. I'm definitely happy to take a look. Ooh, look at that one. From here to the corner. See if we can find it. That's a good bounce shot. Yeah, can I ignore the corner? Let's find out. Oh, there it is. Come on. I did hit it. There you go. It's there. I think I need to pull closer. I think closer will get me there. I think that's there actually. I think that's a solid corner shot. Can you shoot the beam into the god from home? Let's find out. Ooh. I'm not sure. It doesn't, maybe not. I think you can stop them. I think you could definitely threaten them, but it doesn't look like you can shoot them directly into the home. Jeez, this crouch thing is just, yeah, there's no in between. The angle's too flat, I think. You might be able to at the actual event. But yeah, it looks like it's too flat. Let's see. Hey, Grip Paintball, I do the same thing for bounce shots. Nice. Nice DSR, I know. This is a nice DSR. Okay. Try from the can. Can doesn't really have a great angle, at least here. Snakeside can. I think the only issue... Oh, maybe we do it in the inside. Maybe that's... No, we can't see the inside. Yeah, I think... no, in between, but on VR works perfect. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about doing VR, but it just kind of makes... I don't know. It's a lot of streaming power. You might be able to, because obviously the difference is going to be the gap between here and this line, and if the layout is shifted over just slightly, you might be able to, but at least in this version, we can't see that super well. So even if I go back and I look at if I look at guns up, I can't really see the beam very well. So, okay. Other bounce shots? Anything else before I think we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. We've been streaming a little over an hour. Looks like, yeah, an hour and 12. Lone Star had a nice hold from the Snakeside can. Oh, really? Really? I mean, you obviously have your heads up, right? What about here? What does this do? Interesting. Could you do something from the inside? I wonder. That's probably not harsh enough of an angle. Probably not. I don't know. That would be a pretty weird angle to shoot. If I was here and they're in the snake one, I don't know why I would look inside. Just to, yeah, dude. It's like, bah, bah. Okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure I would want to shoot this. And obviously this is like perfect paint that doesn't break. There might be something there. Let's see. Imagine the hell it would be to play that corner and not being to look inside or play the outside tall. Yeah, dude. This corner is rough. Who can shoot the crap out of this corner? That tower. That tower can shoot the corner really well. Yeah. Yeah, dude. This would suck. That would suck. The snake looks fun. The snake does look fun. Okay. If there are no other bounce shots, that's going to conclude things for today. Wait a minute. I mean, you wouldn't shoot that because the guy could just shoot at you. I was just curious if you can get behind him. So, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you can do on these bounces, on these things right here. It's just that the perfect angle is going to be like right here. I wonder if the corner actually can do anything. Did we look at this already? Am I crazy? There you go. That's amazing. There you go. If you're in the corner and you're stuck and the guy is at the 50 looking at you, definitely shoot this. Shoot that like crazy. Streaming this again tomorrow at all? No, I usually only do one video per layout. It just ends up being a ton of information, and it's a lot of like untested information. So, if I have the opportunity to walk the field and play it, I will usually provide an update video. We'll see about that for this weekend. So, all right. From Dan Holiday. Before everyone tries to go out and get this, as it's the end all be all, still in development at the moment. So crouching it is touchy, etc. Math is correct. Okay. No, you're trying to leave. Curious on crossfield shots into snake from D side wedges. No, you're fine. If you guys have other shots you want me to take a look at, now's the time, because I probably won't be revisiting bounce shots. So crossfield shots just directly into them are definitely this. You have definitely some gaps you can shoot as people try to move. I'd imagine you can get those even lower. Fan of your content for sure. Thank you, George. I appreciate it. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like you're gonna shoot them in the pack for sure if they try to get out. Other shots. Let's see what this one does. Yeah, this is an outside shot you can take. Can you stop that move? Probably not. At least it doesn't look like it. I don't think you can stop Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can stop the move from this snake wedge to this snake mini W, but at least from that wedge. Let's take a look at the other one. Again, it's mostly just a crossfield shot, crossfield battle. Oh, and it's the same step out shot that we talked about before. It's a little different on this one, but if you step out, it looks like you can shoot that, and you can contain the snake side can. So, oh, that's right. We looked at this. If you step out really far, this is a bit different than on the guns up layout, but if you step out really far, you can actually shoot the snake corner, and you can contain this guy as well. And the home can't actually see you. So if we go back here, if we come to the guns up layout, if I take a step off, I can see the snake side can, and I can take a step off even further, and I can see the corner without the home. I don't think the home can see me doing this. Right? Nobody on the Dorito can see me. Home can't see my gun, hopefully, and I can shoot the corner guy. Sweet. All right. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. I appreciate it. Again, if you're watching this as a rebroadcast posted to YouTube, please be sure to hit the like button and also leave a comment, big brain, down below. Helps out the channel a lot. And that's it. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.